Hey, Matthew here. So for the recent Christmas that's just been a month ago, I was put in charge of coming up with some kind of entertainment for my family for Christmas Day. So I came up with this thing, which is a talking Christmas tree kind of treasure hunt, puzzle solving challenge kind of a thing. And so this was just after I started working on this just after I got my 3D printer. So basically everything in it is 3D printed. So on Christmas Day it actually looked a bit nicer than this. It had a nice red star on the top that kind of finished it off, but that broke off, so that's no longer there. So I'm going to go through what it was like for the people who were doing the puzzle solving challenge and show you what their experience was like. I'm also going to talk about how this works and how I made it, and I'm going to go through a few of the things that I learned along the way. So there were 10 people at my family Christmas, so I split them into a team of 5 and a team of 4. Obviously I couldn't participate. So each team had one of these Christmas trees as well as a keyboard, and when they came across it there was a postcard there from Hawaii, and I don't have the postcard anymore, so I'll read out to you what it said. So it said, "Hello," and it listed their names. "You've all been very good this year, so I have some wonderful presents for you. Unfortunately though, there is a small problem. Mrs. Claus isn't so good with computers and accidentally booked our annual January holiday a month early. So I'm writing to you from a beautiful sunny beach in Hawaii. Therefore, I won't be able to deliver your presents like usual. Your presents are being kept safe by my security system, Securitree, which you see in front of you. I'm sure you'll be able to fool her into thinking you are me and to get your presents. Just type Securitree and hit enter to get started. But hurry, as you may not be the only people trying to get presents from Securitree. I'm so sorry about all of this. I hope you still have a very Merry Christmas and enjoy your time together. Santa Claus." So that was the start of their puzzle solving challenge. So to get started they had to type Securitree. So I'll do that.
Hello, I am Securitree. My purpose is to protect the property of Santa. To hear anything I say again, just hit enter and I will repeat myself. To access presents, please verify that you are Santa by following the instructions. Type yes to show that you understand, or just hit enter and I will repeat myself.
So obviously the Christmas tree talks to you, and the way you interact with it is with the keyboard, so we'll type yes to show that we understand.
You will find your first clue with a machine that goes up and down, making two things into one.
So that clue is designed to lead them to the sewing machine. So the sewing machine obviously goes up and down, turning two pieces of fabric into one. And when they opened the case for the sewing machine, they found a present wrapped up, which was this thing. So this was a little box that was designed that they could put their finger in and feel some braille that's on the inside. But what my brother decided to do was destroy it so he could see the braille rather than trying to decode it by feeling it. So it's a bit ruined, but you can see in here that there's braille in there. And you find out that the braille, when you decode it, says carols. So we will type in carols.
Food and drink is a big part of Christmas. I bet you're starting to get thirsty and would enjoy a cold one.
So that clue is designed to get them to go to the fridge. So in the fridge they found a box that had 6 bottles of cider in it. Now each bottle had its label peeled off and was replaced with a number. So the bottles were numbered 1 to 6, and then there was a piece of paper in there as well that had all of the labels attached to it, glued to it. And so on each label there was one letter underlined. And so what they had to do was taste the ciders, match them up to the labels, and then use the numbers on the labels, numbered 1 to 6, to work out the order that the letters underlined on the labels were, and then type that in. So that comes, I'll type in what that came to.
Which of your reindeer might you find flying around the solar system?
So if you list out all the reindeer, you'll quickly find that there's one called Comet.
Everyone likes music at Christmas. See if you can find some great Christmas albums.
So the next clue was in the CD cabinet. So it was this thing here, which is a little puzzle box. So there's some magnets on top, and you have to place them in the right spot and do a few other things in order to open up a little hatch and get a clue out. I'll go over how I designed this and how it all works and how you solve it in another video, so link in the description if you want to see that. So when they solved the puzzle box, they got a piece of paper that had 5 different words on it. Now this is where the whole thing gets a bit exciting, because no matter which one of the 5 words they enter, it's going to be wrong. It's kind of a forced fail, so I'm going to enter something.
Incorrect. 2 attempts remaining.
And so we've only got 2 attempts remaining, but again, whatever we enter, it's going to be wrong. So
incorrect. 1 attempt remaining.
So by this time they were starting to get pretty worried. But
all attempts consumed. Intruder detected. Please clear the area. Self-destruct sequence initiated. Please clear the area. Self-destructing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And at this point what happened was a confetti cannon went off. So there's a confetti cannon built into here, into the trunk. And it went off with quite a bang. Confetti went everywhere, all colourful and pretty looking. And along with the confetti was a whole bunch of pieces of paper like this. So that says the self-destruction is a lie. So the aim was that they'd be thinking that they'd just lost the game, the thing had self-destructed, they'd entered the wrong answer 3 times. But if they looked at the confetti, they'd find some of these ones that say that the self-destruction was a lie, with lie written in bold. So if they enter lie, the game carries on.
These are the lyrics to which song? He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. So be good for goodness sake.
So if you don't know it, those are the lyrics to Santa Claus is Coming to Town. So I'm going to type that in.
ISITHUTHU.
Now that one's a bit of a tough one, but if you Google the word that's spelt out, you'll find that it is Zulu, which is some African language, I'm not really sure, but it's their word for motorbike. And so at my parents' house where this all happened, my dad has a motorbike down in the garage. And so when they went down to the motorbike and had a look around, they found a box with some chocolates in it. Now each of the chocolates was custom designed and there was one for each person with their name on it. So here's a picture of them. So I made those chocolates just by 3D printing a mould for each person and pouring chocolate into it, and then some caramel, so caramel filled. They were delicious. And that was the end of the treasure hunt. So the 2 teams, each of them were going at it at the same time, but they each had slightly different puzzles. So we just saw all the puzzles from one team, but the other team had this puzzle instead of one of them. So this looks just like a normal piece of 3D printed plastic, but if you hold it up to the light, you can actually see a word through it. So it says tinsel. So I'll show a picture of that. Another puzzle they had was this one. So this is a VHS tape, and it has a video of Frosty the Snowman, the animated movie from, I think it's from 1969. So they got to watch that, which was pretty cool. Another puzzle they had was a scent-based one. So they had 5 little 3D printed canisters, which I don't have any of them anymore, and each of them had a different scent in it, as well as a letter on the bottom. And they also had a piece of paper with pictures of the scents. So one of them was cinnamon sugared donut, and so there was a picture of a donut, and one of them was peach, so there was a picture of a peach. So they had to match up the smells to the pictures and then use the order of the pictures to work out the order of the letters that were on the bottom of each canister. So the scents I used were actually candle scents, and that worked really well. So one thing I tried to do when designing all the puzzles was to have one for each of the 5 senses. So there's the sight puzzle with being at the see-through panel, this one. There's the scent puzzle, the smelling. There's the taste puzzle with the cider. There's all of them are kind of listening puzzles because you've got to listen to it. And there was the touch puzzle with the braille box. So I was kind of inspired to do that after I did an escape room that used a sense that I'd never used before in an escape room, and I thought that was really cool. So that was one of the things I tried to incorporate. So this is Security here. You can see on the outside we have one of the speakers just here behind a grill, a volume wheel here which you can use to turn the volume of the sound up and down, another speaker over here, and here is a hole to get to the USB port which is on the Raspberry Pi, which is inside there. We've got all the LEDs here, which are 5mm NeoPixels from Adafruit. You can see all the wiring going up the back there. And then if we take the bottom cover off, you can see everything inside. So it's a bit of a mess, but yeah, you can see we've got the speaker just here, the other speaker down here. I bought a pair of USB powered speakers, which I pulled these out of, along with this, see it just there, amplifier board for them, which is where the volume wheel is attached. Here is the compressed air cylinder for the confetti cannon. So what I did is I bought 2 confetti cannons and pulled them apart and pulled the compressed air cylinder and activation system out of them. So the green gear that you can see just down in the bottom there is glued onto a ring on the confetti cannon cylinder, and you turn that in order to activate it. And so this motor just here activates that. So it's got a 200-to-1 gearbox on the end of it, and another 3D printed gear that meshes with the green one you can see down there. Over here is a Raspberry Pi. On top of it, it has a piece of proto board with some with a transistor that activates the motor, and a few other things on there. Down in here is it's actually a USB audio device which runs to the speakers. So the reason I use that rather than just the normal audio output jack just here is that to run the Adafruit NeoPixels, you've got to use the PWM pin on the Raspberry Pi, and they also use that same pin for the audio output. So you can't run both the NeoPixel LEDs as well as the audio at the same time, so I had to use a USB little sound card there. So all the parts are 3D printed and mostly glued together. So this was printed as one piece, the trunk is one piece. All of these leaves clip on here and they actually spin, you can pull them off, but I won't because the wiring's in there. And this here, can't really see down in there, but that's where all the confetti was loaded. And so the compressed air cylinder here, obviously once it's let off, blows air right up through the trunk and the confetti comes out the top. Now on the top we had a little cap tied on with a piece of string. It was like sat on there like that, and it had a nice red star on the top, but that's broken off. All the software for this was written in Python, and the speech was Google Text-to-Speech. To power the whole thing, I just used one of these little 5-volt, 2.5 amp power supplies. So not everything went perfectly smoothly with Security. So one of the problems I had was with setting the confetti cannon off. So to set the confetti cannon off, you have to turn a ring about 40 degrees on the confetti cannon. But once it's turned that 40 degrees, it can't turn any further, it kind of bottoms out. And so when the motor is activated to set it off, I activate it for a second, and it activates it, sets it off, but then once it gets to the end of its travel, it stalls. And once the motor stalls, it starts drawing a lot more current. And so I'm powering this whole thing with a little 5-volt, 2.5 amp power supply, and it draws more than that 2.5 amps and triggers the overcurrent protection in the power supply, which causes the whole thing, the Raspberry Pi in here, to reboot. And instead of expecting them to type lie like they should do after the confetti cannon is set off, it's expecting them to type the very first thing, which is security. And so that led to a couple of issues of them thinking it's not working, and well, it wasn't working, and so I had to debug it at the time and fix it and get it up to the rerun through all the puzzles so it got up to the same point they were at. So the second issue I had was also with the confetti cannon. So it was set off by my cousin's girlfriend who was there, and so they'd been working on the I think it was the scent puzzle. Been working on it, thought they had the right answer. They go and type it in. Obviously it says it's wrong, and they've only got 2 attempts remaining. So they go back to what they were doing and trying to work out what they'd done wrong and trying to work out the correct answer. Type in another one, says they're wrong. So they all go back to working on it again and trying to figure out the right answer. And she types in something else and uses up their last attempt. And they weren't happy with her at this point. They started yelling at her and saying, why did you use our last attempt? We only had one left. And she's trying to defend herself, saying, I thought I spelt it wrong the second time, so I tried it again. And while this was happening, Security was saying that it was going to self-destruct and that she should clear the area, but she wasn't listening to that because she was way too busy getting yelled at and trying to defend herself. So Security started counting down. It got down to about 2, and she was standing right over top of it trying to defend herself from the barrage of insults from her teammates. And so I had to yell out to her to tell her to take a step back because the confetti cannon was about to go off. So she kind of turned around to me, kind of all confused because I just yelled at her, took a step back, and then all of a sudden it goes bang. Because it goes off with quite a bang. Confetti goes everywhere. She got the fright of her life. And everyone else thought it was pretty funny and started laughing, kind of half at her, half at the fact that confetti came out of it. And this was all quite a shock to her, and she was not happy and started crying. And so for the next 10 or 15 minutes she was quite shaken up and a little bit weepy, and yeah, it wasn't good. I didn't intend for that to happen. All the CAD files and software and stuff are available on GitHub, so link in the description if you're interested in that. So that's what I did for the Christmas entertainment for my family. I was quite happy with how it all went. It was really good to design all the puzzles and think through them all and how people would react to them, and then see how they reacted to them and how they thought through each puzzle. And it was also good doing all the 3D printing and designing all the Christmas tree, and yeah, I learnt a lot during the process, so it was really good. I'd encourage people to try something similar. It's a fun experience and really fun for the people that are doing it. So I hope you learnt something, hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.